Yes.
Watch the Amy Sherman-Palladino Gilmore Girls.
Woo!
Amazing.
Extravaganza. Here we are on Hollywood Boulevard.
I'd like each of you to reveal the television series that changed your life, either as a fan, as a performer, or something that made you want to do the job that you do. So, Luke, I'll start with you.
There was a show when I was young called The Littlest Hobo.
Is that a Canadian show? I was just gonna say that. It sounds very Canadian.
Sure is.
Is that included when we buy Canada?
Yep. Yeah. You're gonna regret it.
We get Luke Kirby and the Little Hobo.
Remake.
The Littlest Hobo. The Littlest Hobo. It's about a dog who travels around from town to town. It's like The Fugitive. But it's a German Shepherd, I think, ish. And he saves people. He's a nice Canadian dog.
Kind of like Highway to Heaven vibe too.
Very high, yeah, except there's no God.
Okay, there's no God, let's job story. Well, that's a great rousing beginning to this. And Alex?
I was drawn to a show called The Biggest Hobo. That's impossible. There's two that were seminal for me. One was Remington Steele. I invented him. I liked the idea of a woman inventing a man. And I love Charlie's Angels.
Excellent choices. Rachel?
Probably The Twilight Zone. It scared the shit out of me. And I wasn't supposed to watch it. And so I used to stay up really late at night watching The Twilight Zone and my parents.
You were not watching this live, obviously. You were watching later episodes.
Yeah. They would replay, I think on Nick at Night. No, I'm not, thank you. I feel older every day. They would replay on Nick at Night, and it scared the crap out of me, but I loved it. And I just thought it was so weird and delightful and loved the music. Love it.
Daniel?
I watched a lot of TV growing up, but I would say the big show for me was Monty Python.
You've been talking about Bonanza for a week and a half, and it's Monty Python?
Yeah, it's Monty Python. Bonanza was a joke. Monty Python is my comedy Bible.
Good choice. Lauren?
Oh, I thought you were gonna go to Amy.
I'm gonna do Amy last because she's the queen.
Okay, I was a television freak, and I watched all kinds of TV that I wasn't supposed to watch, and I think at different times, and some in reruns and some not. Rhoda, Laverne and Shirley, I'm 100, and Saturday Night Live, I was allowed to stay for Saturday Night Live, and it just, I have stuck with it. I don't care what the haters say, and it just meant a lot to me. I don't know.
Same, of course. Kelly?
Well, you think you're old. How about Sid Caesar's Show of Shows?
Good writing
They
staff.
have all these amazing people, Carl Reiner, besides Sid Caesar, and then there was the Hamilton Trio, which was a group of dancers that did a number every week, and Imogen Coca, who was really funny, a funny woman. That's what got me hooked. That definitely got me hooked.
Love it. Charlotte?
Now let's hear from the French.
I had to look it up because it's called Amical Monde. Yes, there is. So in English, it's called Persuaded. Was it? No? Persuaders.
Persuaders.
Oh, Persuaded.
It's okay, you can stick with
What was it about, briefly? What was it about?
It was with Roger Moore and
Oh, the Saint? Is that the Saint or the Avengers?
well, no, with Lord Brett Sinclair. No?
It sounds too smart for us. I think that's why we didn't watch it.
No, but John Barry wrote the music for us, and it was the ex-husband of my mother, and my father was very jealous.
Lovely. And Lou?
And I have to thanks Mad Men because I broke up with a boyfriend thanks to this TV show because I didn't want to look like one of the characters. Not only for that, but also thanks to that.
It's a good one. And finally, Amy, since your preference is the only one that matters tonight, tell us about your show.
You know, I don't know that I have a TV show that influenced where I am now, because I wasn't supposed to be here. I was supposed to be a dancer. Sorry, Mom. And my mother's here going. She's just adding up the ballet classes and
Wait,
the shoes. And
so I was going to
at the end of the evening.
I was going to reference your mom later, but let's just show where is she now so we can give her a round of applause.
Here's your
Maybin?
moment. Here's your moment. Here's your moment. Maybin, yeah. Maybin Sherman. That's her.
Yes.
It's all her fault. I will say my dad was a comic, so my biggest, hey, my multi-universe. I'll deal with you later.
Security at this point? Everyone is still talking.
Sit down, lady. No one can hear you. You're like a sparkling mine. Still no one can hear you. What is she trying to say? Bitch, get Maud, Harold, get Maud under control, please.
I hope this pays off.
If you couldn't hear that, she said, I hope this pays off. So your television preference, Amy?
Yeah, I had a lot of entertainment at home. I
We've
didn't even watch
officially heard
TV.
more from my mother-in-law than anyone on the panel. It's amazing.
Believe it or not, my father was the comic. So my father was a comic, so I will say it was the 2,000-Year-Old Man albums, Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, that actually influenced me most. And then if it has to be a TV show, it would be Roseanne, because it was my first job. And I had no idea I was going to be a writer. And even when I got it, I thought, this is not where I belong. And then they paid me. And I said, this is where I belong. And my whole life changed.
Coming off from her ex-writing partner, I was working with her on a show. She said, my ex-writing partner, I think she'd be perfect for you. I'm going to set you up on a blind date. And I said, I don't do blind dates. I'm not going to do a blind date. So she said, well, I'm going to set up a lunch. Like, we'll have lunch. I'll say, come by Amy for lunch. So Amy came by. We were sitting out where the Amazon studios are now on Washington, but they were very different then. And I do believe the first thing I ever heard Amy say, besides maybe hello, was, I'm in hell. And I thought, that's the girl for me. It was done. It was done.
Mr. Ray of fucking sunshine.
We, looked at each other across the group of guys eating bagels and about to go into the bathroom with
variety and stuff.
Yeah. And
some things never change.
And then I asked her for her phone number. Because back then, I don't know if you guys know what phone numbers are. The fact that you didn't have a supercomputer in your pocket. But yeah, and then it blossomed.
And when did you know you wanted to partner creatively?
To what? Right off the bat.
To partner in terms of personal and professional pursuits. Did you know that you had a great chemistry as writing partners? Because you could be a great couple and not be a great fit as creative partners.
We didn't write together for many years. We had our own separate things. We were just two writers. We were both at levels that we were both not at super high levels. So we were both just.
So yay!
Yeah. So we went out. We
A non-power couple.
you know, we interviewed for jobs. We didn't get jobs. You know, one would be working, one's kind of looking, and that all kind of worked out. I will say there was a period in the late '90s when she was not getting a job. I was on Family Guy with Alex.
Family Guy.
And I was telling Amy, I'm not taking credit, but I was telling Amy, just write whatever you want to write. And she ended up writing Gilmore Girls.
So my question, Amy, is when you pitched Gilmore Girls, and I'm assuming you pitched to Warner Brothers, the studio itself.
No, I pitched directly to the WB.
To the WB network, okay.
And then I said to them, tell me what studio to go to that you'll put it on the air. And they said, go to Warner Brothers.
Okay, excellent. What do you remember about your pitch meeting? And did you have a log line, a succinct log line? You said this is what the show is, and what kind of questions did they ask? Like, what do you remember about that day?
I was pitching something else that I had spent a lot of time working on. Notes, and this is the last time I made notes for anything. I decided right then not to be prepared. And I pitched, and I'm acting it out, and everyone's Jewish, of course, because in my world, that's how it works. And then I saw everybody start to talk about lunch and circle menus, and there was talk of matzo ball soup, and I'm still doing my shtick. And they finally went, okay, do you have anything else? And I said, there's a thing about like a mother and a daughter, and they're more like friends than mother and daughter. And they said, okay, we'll buy that.
And that was it.
And I walked outside, and Gavin Cologne, who was my manager at the time, was out. I turned to him and I said, I don't know what that show is. I don't have anything more than that. That's all I have. And he said, well, I would advise you figure the rest out.
That's a good manager,
that
right?
They would like to buy it. And we went to Connecticut, and I figured it out over a weekend, and here we go.
What do you remember about where you were in your respective careers in the year 2000? What were you looking to do? Lauren, I know you had done a lot of television, multicam work, and also various films and the stage. And of course, Kelly, you had an incredible career on stage. And who could forget, she played Baby's mom in Dirty Dancing. Just so iconic. How did this role come to you, and
the original
why?
Sheila in chorus line, hello.
Incredible pedigree of talent here. What were you looking to do, and how did this show fit into your dream scenario as your next job? Lauren, maybe start us off.
You're very kind to say I had done a lot of television and film, and because I had not really. I had done some commercials in New York. I had come to LA. I'd been there for a couple of years. I was like the friend. I was a wacky girlfriend. I was very kind of not series regulars on anything. And then I started. I did a bunch of shows that got canceled after. It was a progression of a kind. Like one show got canceled after 6 episodes, and then one show got canceled after 13 episodes. And so I was. When I read this, I have spoken about this before, but it is. I can never really describe the feeling of getting this script. I had a feeling of recognition and like, oh, there's my boyfriend, but it's a part. And it's a character, and it's like, but it was that kind of like, oh, feeling. But I was not available because I was on another show that had gone 13 episodes, but hadn't yet been canceled. And this is the day where they don't do this anymore, and also there's kind of no pilot season anymore, but you know, sometimes you'd have a pilot and then they'd cast you in a pilot behind that in case that pilot didn't go. But this was an actual show that had been on NBC, and so I waited, and we all waited, and is this too long an answer?
Absolutely not. Continue.
And it was the dream scenario of a kind, which was they wouldn't see me because I wasn't available.
I didn't want to fall in love with her. I said, don't, because he kept saying, I think Lauren's a person, the cast member. I said, I don't care, because if I can't have her, I don't want to know that she exists.
But I don't know what you would have based that on, because I hadn't been in anything that you would have been like, oh yeah, that person.
Townies, not Townies.
It was Townies.
No, it wasn't that I knew you. It's
Yeah.
that she kept saying to me, I swear I think Lauren is your girl. And I said, stop saying Lauren. I don't want to hear it because you told me I can't have Lauren. They're like, well, we don't know. I said, you're telling me she's in something else. If she's this great, she's in something else. It's going to get picked up and then I'm going to hate you and I'll have to kill you and it'll be sad. And then finally when we were just out, I'm like, God, fucking bring Lauren. And she walked in and like after the first line, I'm like, God damn it! That was it. And then then I had to pray that someone else's show was
Well, that was it. Except then we went and shot it, and then we waited. We waited so long. I mean, maybe it was a normal amount of time, but is that me? Is that my hair? and then it worked out, and the other show. It worked out, and then the other show got canceled. And then at a party at like the upfronts a couple years later, some executive, it's not bad, came up to me, a little drunk, and he was like, we traded you. And I was like, what? He's like, we traded you. I wasn't available, so they traded me for some other actor that NBC wanted, and I was like, ew.
Kelly, what spoke to you about the character of Emily Gilmore? Because you have said, and you have a wonderful memoir that you wrote a couple years ago, that she's very different from you. And that you loved her because she's so different from you. So tell me a little bit about what attracted you to want to inhabit this woman's skin.
Well, when I first read the script, Lauren alluded to the pilot season we used to have, and you'd wait and get all these scripts, and that particular year, The Sopranos had been on, and it was a huge hit, a wonderful show. And so I kept seeing these sitcom scripts that were all about Italian families, and really funny, you know. And this script that said Gilmore Girls, and it was bigger than the little sitcom scripts, and then this big fat script. And I started to read it. And it was like I came home. I was reading my grandmother, I was reading my mother, I was reading the relationship between me and my mother, between Rory and Lorelai, and it completely made sense, and it was funny. And that's the thing that got me. I keep reading these pages, this is funny stuff, and I'm like, this is funnier than the sitcoms, and this is not a sitcom. And I loved it so much, I loved the writing so much, so that we got an audition and I got to see you. And when I worked really hard on this, I really worked hard on that. I mean, I could have done it without the pages, but I held the pages and did the best job I could, and I thought I really nailed it. And I left and I waited. And I waited, and I waited, and I'm waiting for that time that usually in those days, if they really liked you and the network kind of agreed, then they bring maybe 2 actors out from New York. They spend the money to have you audition for the suits. And I'm still waiting, and then finally I kind of gave up hope. I didn't understand why, but I just said, I guess that's it. And then I got a call from my agent who said, you got it. I said, what do you mean? And I didn't, I'm going to go to California and audition for and they said, no, you haven't. And I said, well, why did they wait? I don't understand. And that's when they told me that you were working on getting Lauren. And those people wouldn't let her go, just to be mean. And it made
we had her traded.
And she was the star of the show, so it made perfect sense that they would cast her before they cast me. But then we did it, and God, it's been a little bit of heaven ever since, I say. Both of them.
Wonderful question, by the way. She says, Amy, you're famous for the pop culture references you've written into your shows. Is there one that you're most proud of?
Yeah, Oscar Levant, because it pissed the WB off to no end.
What was the context? Like, set it up.
I think Rory said something about it, called something at Chilton, and she used an Oscar Levant. I don't remember the line, but I just remember them calling and saying, no one's going to know who Oscar Levant is. I said, there's 6 gay guys in Ohio right now. I said, and by the way, I talk about Justin Timberlake on the next page, so just fucking be patient.
Another great question. She says, you've influenced a generation of writers. How has your process differed on each of your projects, or do you think it's generally stayed the same approach on each show? Great question.
Oh, me?
Yes, for you.
You're multiverse.
You know, I mean, look, your process is your process, but your actors are different. And the wonderful thing that I've learned is, and I didn't learn it early enough for Lauren to benefit from it. Sorry, but I learned it from Lauren in hindsight because we just didn't have enough time to talk and play. And part of it, I think, was because Lauren. I felt like Lauren and I had been separated at birth and everything pretty had gone over there with the smarts, and I got the rest. It's like if anyone knows that Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger twins. I will say from afar, like I really paid attention to Lauren's, like her, you know, and most accurate description. But that I knew how to write that. Like I knew how to harness that, and I knew how to like give her. My job then was to give her stuff that she could take and play with. That was my job. Same thing with Kelly. And then you go and you work with Rachel and Alex, they're different. Alex is going to hate you no matter what. You just have to accept that, and every day you're going to say, good morning, Alex, and she's going to say, great, fire me so I can get the fuck out of here. You know, Rachel has notebooks and plans and things and charts, and the first meeting I had with her, she wanted to talk about me, she came in with a thing, with a diary, with she had recipes in there, and I'm like, don't you have a life? Like, like she's just, so again, you have to like, and then you pick up on people's rhythms. You know, I'm constantly, like Blue Kirby is somebody who thinks that he has the free will to get away from me. I'm so mad about him as a human being as well as the incredible actor that he is. And I'm saying that because I'm talking about women and you aren't one, but I love you just as much as I love everybody else. But then I come over to France and I've got to be able to communicate. And Charlotte, you know, I learned quickly, Charlotte is an unbelievable physical person. Her face is physical and like everything, like she walks like a dude and everything is like she's on a snowboard and I'm like, it's fucking cool. So like you lean into that. So Lou just doesn't know who I am and doesn't really care. I accept the fact that she is completely dismissive of my existence, and I thrive in that. But I also, it's you learn to create for people. Your process is automatically going to change because they are not interchangeable. You can't approach any actor of any merit as they're not a plant. They are they have their own world of intelligence and thought and the way they do things, and if you don't service them, it doesn't matter how good a script is, nobody's going to see it, like it, or care about it. Everything on the page has got to come to life with the people that you're handling.
You want to comment?
The Littlest Hobo. If you want to see sexual hijinks. It's on YouTube.
So we do have to end this event now.
We end with the Littlest Hobo.
We end with the Littlest Hobo.
It's multiverse and it lands on the Littlest Hobo.
I'm going to put Amy on the spot and and ask you, throughout all of your humor tonight and all of your amazing gesticulations and other behaviors, I do want to ask you, how does it feel to be on this stage, surrounded by so much love, and are you able to appreciate all that you've accomplished?
No. No, that's what you do when you're dead. Like when you're dying and you're hooked up to something, that's when you go, oh shit, this is really good. Why didn't I? And then I turn on Gilmore Girls and then I play it, you know, and then I just have to lose face with the curtain coming down.
I'm trying to end on a sentimental note.
Try. This is amazing. This is wonderful, and you got my favorite people together in one room.
Yes.
And I miss them every day that I'm not with them. So.
Before we leave the stage, I just want to say thank you, and wherever you lead, we will follow.
Thank you.